get ready.
This is the voice of Wayne America.
Lighten up, Francis.
With your host,
Hi-ho, Kermit the Frog here.
Mike Carnes.
How do you measure yourself with other golfers? By height.
Only at WayneAmerica.com.
The supernova's gonna kill us all.
Okay, this guy is the real zero, that's true. Let's just think back when you guys were freshmen, huh?
.com.
Greetings from Wayne America. This is the Voice of Wayne America podcast, an exclusive here at WayneAmerica.com. I'm your host, Mike Carnes, and every week here on the Voice of Wayne America, we sit down with somebody who has some kind of connection to the best town in all of America, not just in Nebraska, but here in the entire United States, in the Great 50, and that's right here in Wayne America. Somebody who's got some kind of something connected to the community of Wayne. That's the focus here on Voice of Wayne America. And we want to thank our sponsors for the program, including AKA 142 Media. Your business can be mentioned here as well. And for more information on that, give me a call at 402-660-9682 or email Mike at MikeyCProductions.com for more information. You know, the April Fool's Day comes up on Saturday, but there's a different reason why Saturday is important here in Wayne, and that is because that is the annual rugby festival, let's just call it. The March Madness and Mayhem Rugby Tournament, the Battle on the Plains. It goes by a variety of names, but the bottom line is that this weekend, some of the top rugby talent in the Midwest and across the United States is going to be descending upon Wayne and going to be a part of the two-day Festival of Rugby at the Wayne Rugby Park. And with us on the Voice of Wayne America this week is the architect of the Wayne Rugby Club at Wayne State College and coach, the guy who's basically running the whole show and has more balls in the air than you can even begin to imagine. That's Darrin Barner. Darrin is with us here on the show this week, and Darrin, I know that we're just a few days away from another weekend of fun and frivolity and festivities with the rugby tournament.
Yep, it's going to be pretty much the same. Lots of teams, lots of action, and it's going to be interesting because we got teams coming from all over the place, including Canada.
Yeah, we've got some teams coming from Canada again this year. So I think Manitoba University seems like they have become something of a regular here, making that long drive up from north of the border.
Yep, they have a good time, and also the Winnipeg University comes down, and I'm going to let the cat out of the bag right here on exclusively right here. But I'm going to have a really good doubleheader with the Wayne State men and women, and think a little thing with the little national anthem might not be a bad idea, but a good doubleheader with the Wayne State men and women taking on the Iowa Hawkeyes and also Manitoba University.
That should be an interesting weekend of rugby action. I know that I actually do help him out with some of the stuff and getting ready for the rugby tournament, and I know that you've been particularly busy here the last several days, getting the final I's dotted and the final T's crossed as these teams get their entries in and get ready to go. And I know that historically this program or this tournament has brought in a ton of people to town. You get 65, 70, 75 teams coming to town. That's a lot of bodies that come into town and makes for a very busy weekend in town.
Yeah, and it's what's kind of unique about it that I found out just over the last few years. But let's just say an 18-year-old from Oklahoma, goes to college in Wisconsin. Well, when they come to Wayne, Nebraska for the tournament, their family doesn't have to drive to Wisconsin to watch them play. They can come up to Wayne. So It's kind of a little bit of a family thing with grandpas and grandmas and mom and dads and aunts and uncles because, kids from Colorado that go to school at Northern Illinois, well, they're going to kind of meet here in the middle and watch some rugby. And, of course, it probably a little overpopulates the town just a little bit because I certainly know that there's teams and parents and things like that are staying in Sioux City and Norfolk because they can't find anywhere to stay. But prepare ahead. If you want to go eat at noon during Saturday, you might want to go a little bit early because I think those fast food restaurants are going to have a long line.
Yeah, there's a lot of activity that goes on here in town when that rugby tournament kicks into gear, and things get started very early in the morning. They start playing generally about 8:30 in the morning, and you really kind of have to do that because you have, I think, 7 or 8 fields that you have available. You have the 5 out there at the rugby park, out there by the softball complex, and then usually are able to put together 2 or 3 fields out at the college. And I think if worse comes to worse, you can always use some space out there at the activity center to create a field. But there's a lot of work that goes into putting something like this together every year.
Yeah, and you hit a really good point because I guess there's one thing that's a little bit, confusing and not the best about it. But when you run a tournament at this magnitude, you really do need 7-8 fields, and we only have 5 down at the complex. So I don't want to knock the Canadians for anything for not teaching their kids how to read a compass, but when you get referees from from out of state and from Canada, they kind of don't know where east from west is, and they start driving towards Wisner looking for Wayne State, and then they start driving to Wakefield looking for the city rec building out there by Wayne High, and it does get a little confusing, but we have a little chuckle about that. But something like this, I just got an email today from the Ref Society, that it's going to take 40 refs. And, I can tell you exactly how many refs are in the state of Nebraska, just a couple. So a lot of refs are coming from Wisconsin, Minnesota, and St. Louis, Kansas City, Denver. And, of course, we're getting thin there. And so we also have referees from Canada.
Yeah, so there's a lot of people that come into this town. I don't think people really realize the scope of the number of people that come here from different parts of North America, not just the United States, but you throw in Canada as well. And the one problem that Wayne has, and it's something that is starting to be dealt with, with the hotel that was built a couple years ago, is hotel space in this town is really at a premium. You don't have a lot of hotel space that's available here in town. You have some space that's available in like Laurel and maybe in Wisner, but then after that you got to go pretty much to Norfolk or Sioux City to get a hotel room. That's a lot of driving.
Yeah, I know
the drive that they're making to the tournament itself.
I know a team from Illinois that's coming on a full charter bus, and they're staying in Pender. So, Gus Davis Adolphus, they're staying in Randolph. I mean, it's this is spread everywhere, but that's just it's just one of those deals, and I'm gonna tip my hat a little bit here to Kenny Jorgensen, because he talked to some teams a few years ago, and he's just like, you guys drove 12 hours to come to Wayne, to play. He's like, I don't quite get it, and they said, we like Wayne. It's small. The rugby fields are right there. They're lucky enough to get the hotels that are right by the field. But, like downtown is just 5 blocks away, and Pizza Hut's, a half a block away from the hotels. And it's very convenient. And I can speak that when we go to tournaments like in New York City or Orlando, it's a big hassle with the hotels being so far away and restaurants and everything else. So it does work out real good, kind of being a small area of how things can be done in a real short amount of time as far as travel in town.
The one thing that I think is also kind of maybe not really noticed by the community. I mean, they see all the people in town for those 2 days and everything, but the economic impact of this tournament is really something unique to a community like Wayne. Every community has its weekend celebration. We have the Chicken Days weekend in June or July every summer, and every town seems to have some kind of a community celebration event. But a lot of the time that money is money that is basically just changing hands from one side of town to the other. And whereas with a tournament like this, where you're bringing in people from all over the United States and Canada, that's money that's coming in from out of the region, and it's really kind of a big deal for Wayne from an economic standpoint. Yeah,
it's fair to say 99% of the dollars spent by the tournament is out of state money. And I had a nightmare. It's technology's changing with credit cards and things like that, but when this thing really started getting ramped up, I mean, when you got a bunch of Canadians coming down here and, credit cards weren't really well used yet in some of the places or gas stations like that, they brought their Canadian cash with them. And here they are trying to get American cash at 2 p.m. on Saturday. All the banks are closed. And let's just say there's a lot of IOUs that I pitched out, and they had to get some checks written back my way. But, that's just the kind of a neat thing. And I'll even mention a great little story of a few years ago as KWSC Radio was doing play-by-play on the radio, and they said, hey, here's an email address. Shoot us a quick email where you're listening. And there's a couple people that were listening to the rugby games from, like, I'm talking like one was an African nation and one was from Costa Rica, because
Okay.
they're following, their nephews or nieces or something like that. So it's a real neat thing. And I know there's a helicopter pilot down in Kansas that does an emergency hospital helicopter things, and he's from England, and he makes plans every year to come to Wayne because he can't see rugby anywhere. And, he comes up here this weekend to watch rugby.
Yeah, it's a great weekend of celebration of rugby here in Wayne, America. That'll be coming up this weekend, March 30th or April 1st and 2nd, beginning at bright and early at about 8:30 in the morning out there at the Wayne Rugby Park. We're going to talk a little more with Darrin Barner here from the Wayne State Rugby Club here on the program here on Voice of Wayne America. But first off, wanted to answer the question: what does AKA stand for in AKA 142 Media? Well, it stands for many things, but the most important thing is that AKA 142 Media provides awesome kick-in apps that can be downloaded to your phone or your tablet. Whether it's your school, your favorite youth sports program, or your local business, AKA 142 Media has an awesome kick-in app that they can build to meet your needs. Give Kevin a call, or you can email him. That's probably the best way to get a hold of him, and email him at kevin@aka142.com, and tell him that Mike sent you because he's wondering where Mike is right now, and he needs to make sure that I'm still around. So that would help him out as well. That's AKA 142 Media, awesome kicking apps. We're here with Darrin Barner from the Wayne State Rugby Club, talking about this weekend's big rugby tournament that's going to be going on here in town. Tournament games will be held at the Wayne Rugby Park over there by the softball complex on the southeast edge of town, and then there's also games that will be played at some of the practice fields over at Wayne State College this weekend as well. And putting something like this together is it's an interesting how it gets done year after year. What kind of work goes into putting a tournament of this magnitude together that's turned into one of the biggest tournaments in the country?
Well, you go to bed late, you get up early, and I don't like energy drinks, but, I'm getting kind of hooked on those Starbucks and Monster Energy coffee drinks, which, there's about 4 of them by about 9 a.m. But, that's just, it's a lot of work, but I will say that doing this 16 years, I have an Excel spreadsheet that I started probably about 10 years ago, and it's just really simple. It's just the to-do list, and it's in order, and next to the task to do is how many weeks out that the task needs to be done, and it's actually like 800 things are on that Excel sheet. Now, some of them are simple, garbage sacks or something like that, but, doing the tournament, it actually starts in late October. I advertise this in late October because teams start making plans in December for their spring schedules. And, we offer 15-on-15 rugby. We offer 7-on-7s rugby. The admission is free, which I really want to make sure everybody knows that. Everybody's been to big sporting events before, and, of course, big sporting events mean you need to have a big wallet. But the admission's free, folks. So just go on East 4th Street or just 3 blocks south of McDonald's in Wayne, and you're going to see rugby going from 8:30 in the morning until probably 6-ish at night, straight all day long. And, of course, I kind of do this on purpose, but I kind of have the high-end big Division I marquee games that kind of go up for us and other teams. I want them kind of be at the peak time in the afternoon when it's nice and warm and everything else. So if you want to look to come down, anytime between 1:30 and 4, you're going to see the meat and potatoes of the tournament. There'll be some knockout rounds going on.
Yeah, explain to people the difference between 15s and 7s. It's the same game. It's kind of like in football. We have 11-man football and 8-man football.
Yeah,
but
it really is. And you hit it on the head. But let's just imagine 15-on-15 football and 7-on-7 football. You're going to see one being a complete muscle-head slug-out game. Lots of strategy because every yard's so vital. And then 7-on-7 football, you can see that if you break one tackle, you're going to score a lot of points. Let's compare it to basketball. You want to play basketball 9-on-9 compared to 2-on-2 full court. One's run and gun, and one's going to be very cluttered and physical. And that's what it is with 15s rugby and 7s rugby. 7s rugby gets to be a track meet. The games are only 14 minutes long because the players are absolutely totally exhausted because
they're running on a full field.
It's 100 yards long, and I mean there's going to be 7 or 8 touchdowns in a matter of 14 minutes. So you break one tackle, it's an 80-yard sprint to the end zone. extremely fatigued. And then you got the 15-on-15 rugby, which is going to be a 40-minute game, which is pretty much jousting inside a phone booth and hitting each other with clubs. Very physical, very short yardage. So you can get both because that's both going to be offered here in Wayne over the weekend.
And teams have the option of playing either 15s or 7s or both. They can. So I think some schools are taking advantage of that, and I know some schools like you guys have a 15s team and a 7s team, so it's an opportunity for both teams to get some experience.
Yeah, it's fair to say. If you want to, everybody in Northeast Nebraska knows football, so if you classify yourself a lineman, 7-on-7 rugby is not going to be your cup of tea. 7-on-7 rugby is just going to be wide receivers and running backs because it's just an absolute, it's a speed game, where the other game is going to be a power game, and the guys are going to be a little bit stouter and, might not be as mobile, but they certainly got the punch to them. So I still want everybody to come down there and make sure everybody knows where the location is to watch these games. It's real easy. If you're from out of town, just 3 blocks south of McDonald's on Wayne, and the admission is free. And we'll even roll into Sunday. There'll be some consolation games that take place, in the morning, but once it kind of gets around that 11:30 time frame, we got a lot of people that come down after church. We normally have the semifinals around 11ish, and once it gets to 1:30, it's time to crown the champion, and it gets to be pretty exciting there early afternoon on Sunday.
Yeah, and a lot of stuff that is going on in town for people who are coming in from out of town to take part in this rugby tournament. Of course, the big thing is the dance on Saturday night. It's got to be something of a fun tradition. It's got to be a good time, and always seems to be a great opportunity to just kind of, after a full day of beating each other over the heads, kicking back and enjoying some great rock and roll and having a good time.
Yeah, and I forgot to even mention of who's all coming here, but it's college sides, and there's also City League rugby, and what's really kind of neat about the fact is you have city teams that set up little booths or little canopies, and they actually kind of use this tournament as a recruiting tool because they look for those college seniors, they find out what degrees they're on, and they kind of help them with some job placement. With the handshake that can be done, well, you're going to be playing some City League rugby for those 5 guys down the road, which is really unique because that all takes place on Saturday night just by, having a good meal, a shower, relaxing a little bit, and then kind of going downtown and bum around a little bit and mix and match with some folks.
And want to talk a little bit also about the Wayne State rugby teams in general. I know the men's team had some success this past season, and of course the women's team won another national title. That's I think 5 national titles in the last 5 or 6 years.
You lost count, mine. It's 6. It's 6 national titles
now. Yeah, 6 national titles now in 6 years. This past fall, the 15-on-15 team went down to Georgia and won a national title down there, and it was a great effort by those girls to go down there and win another national title, and now a chance to rule the roost again in 7s. I think Enscrow has run 7s, I think, 3 years now. This will be their 4th year of running the 7-on-7 tournament. There's only been one national champion in the first 3 years, and that's been Wayne State College. So a chance to four-peat this year.
Yes, and I'm really hoping for that, and it'll be in Pittsburgh, and our regional, which is a kind of a key thing with this tournament here, our regional for the girls is on April 8th. So on April 8th, if we win our regional, we go to Pittsburgh and defend our national championship. If we don't, well, it ain't going to work out. So, April 1st is a really key day for us to make darn sure that we're running on 8 cylinders because I'm very senior heavy this year, got a great group of gals, and I think our record is something like 63-4. Well, let's put in the games last week, so it might be like 70 wins and 4 losses now. But we want to end it on a good note, and I don't want to brag or anything, but when you have a team this good, well, you're not going to be satisfied getting second. So we want to do all we can, and of course, this weekend here on April 1st, we want to be polished.
Yeah, the success that you've had over the last few years, the great thing about that is being able to call yourself the challenge to that is that once you have reached that goal, nothing less than that is acceptable anymore. That's kind of the challenge that you face when you put together a program that's a consistent championship caliber program like that.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's kind of how it goes, I guess, in a way. And like you mentioned, our last national championship by beating Colgate. down there in Atlanta. It was, a really hard-fought game, and, we worked hard for it, and I'm glad we put in all the extra work because it took everything that we had, and we really hope that we can go to Pittsburgh here on April 28th by winning that regional on April 8th.
Now, where's the regional at?
Regional will be taking place up in Sioux Falls.
In Sioux Falls. So actually not too
far away. Yep.
Yeah, so the Wayne State women's and men's rugby team hosting this big Battle on the Plains tournament this coming weekend, April 1st, 2nd, out at the Wayne Rugby Park. Action begins at 8:30 in the morning at the Wayne Rugby Park. There'll also be some games over at Wayne State College over in the fields there on the just to the north of the student activity center there. So, and admission is free to all the games, so you don't even have to worry about bringing a wallet along, unless of course you want to get something to drink, maybe get a hamburger at the rugby park there or something like that, or maybe a Wayne State rugby T-shirt. Is there going to be some of those available?
Oh, they'll be all over the place. There'll be a rugby vendor there. It's got a trailer the size of a semi, and I mean, if you're Irish, there's going to be a lot of Irish stuff that you can get there, too.
There you go. And if you're in the right place at the right time, you might actually get to see some NCAA basketball tournament games, depending on what time those start. But there might be a TV available to watch some of that.
You mentioned a good thing about that, Mike, because I actually do get requests because of the tournament taking place so long. But there are teams that want that 8:30 game and their second game at 2-ish in the afternoon because they want to shower and eat and go watch those basketball games. So I forgot all about that wrapping up. But you're right. A lot of people do want to get to the tube to watch those games.
All right. Well, more than 60 teams are going to be at the Wayne Rugby Park this weekend. It'll be a busy weekend of activity out at the Wayne Rugby Park. So if you want to see some great rugby action, head out there on Saturday and Sunday and check out the Battle on the Plains Rugby Tournament. This is again one of the bigger rugby tournaments here in the United States, and happening right here in Wayne, America. Teams from all over the United States and even Canada coming down for the big tournament. Darrin, best of luck to you. Maybe get a good night's sleep here one day before things get rolling, and then we'll I guess wind down afterwards.
You got it. We really hope. And again, folks, those Saturday games are going to be from 8:30 till about 6-ish. And if you can't make it, the big games, the semifinals and the championships will be taking place Sunday, kind of between 11:30 and 2 o'clock. So we hope to see you there.
All right, well, that'll do it for this week's edition of The Voice of Wayne America. Again, I want to thank our coach, or our guest, Coach Darrin Barner from the Wayne State Rugby Club, talking about this weekend's big rugby tournament. Check back to WayneAmerica.com as we continue to tell the stories of the people who make this the best town in Nebraska, if not all of America, and that's right here in Wayne, America. We'll see you next week.